Anybody want to come and chat with me for a few minutes? Anybody at all? Anybody? There's no height limit.
I do.
How's it going?
Good.
Excellent. Excellent. You're walking like an old man, like say you were somebody's grandpa.
What do you mean? It's just a walk. Just because I didn't like sit down here, I'm a grandpa.
That was an obvious opportunity for you to promote your
Oh,
show.
yeah, no, I only realized that like 3/4 of the way through.
Okay, okay.
There's a show at my school called Wizard.
He's a grandfather in Wonka,
Yeah, I told you.
so
You should come see. It was great, right, Nenny?
At the secondary school, they're playing Willy Wonka, and he's in the play, and you should go
Yes,
see it.
dude, we already said that.
I'm going to say it again because I have a mic now.
So, yeah, I thought you were going to say it.
You say it.
Okay, so in my school, the Winoka Secondary Campus, we're putting on a show called Willy Wonka, and I'm the grandpa. You should come see. It'll be great.
It is great.
And years from now, you'll be able to say, I saw him when. He'll probably be in prison then, but anyway. I'm just kidding.
I saw him
But-
when he was still acting.
Segue to a really important question. What do you think would make somebody a good neighbor? What makes for a good neighbor?
Not bothering me.
Not bothering me with the microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What else?
Oh, having pets that they let outside so you can pet them.
Excellent. As opposed to people who have, say, I don't know, cats that they should keep indoors
Only cats.
so they don't do anything in your yard.
Right, so keeping the cats away from you and give me the cats.
Right. Keep the cats away from me and give all the cats to you. Excellent choice. Yeah.
I would also love to take the cats. Thank
You'd
you.
love to take
Yeah.
cats also. That would make a good neighbor.
My cat's on a leash.
Excellent. Excellent. In a cage with bars? No? Okay.
Mom, we have room for more cats. We only have two.
Good neighbor. Oh, so you can borrow a cup of sugar from them. That's kind of like.
Borrow a cup of sugar from
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I've never done that before because you don't do that anymore. But you could, theoretically, if you wanted to. And they would say
Why don't we
yes.
do it anymore?
Because we all have sugar and it's at the store. Instead of, in a container 40 miles away that we have to go
What
on
if the
horse and
store's
wagon to.
closed?
Then we're sad and we probably don't go to our neighbor anyway because we don't interact with our neighbors much.
Thank you. Excellent. Yes, that's very true. We don't. But is that because they're a good neighbor and I don't have to have conversation with them?
No, it's because you don't know them and you don't care enough to know them because you don't know them. And since you don't know them, they're not worth knowing, right? So it's not worth knowing them since you don't already know them,
About halfway through there, I was just gonna like jump right in and go, the learning together is over. But then he kept talking. And that's the thing. You are absolutely right. Is what makes us a good neighbor is knowing our neighbors. And unfortunately, we're not very good at that. Right? Yeah. So,
You're still gonna end up having to go meet your neighbor.
but you get the important part of that, right? I mean, if you ask the question, what makes a good neighbor? Well, 50% of that is you.
Bake a pie for your neighbor.
Bake a pie for your neighbor.
Then you know who the neighbor is, and then you can be a good neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah. How else will you know your neighbor? If you don't like go and introduce yourself, have a conversation with them? Yeah?
You can stalk them on social media.
Okay, you're not getting the microphone anymore.
Nice. That's what we do.
The best way to know your neighbor is to have a conversation with them.
In person.
Yeah. To get to know them.
Just like the first time you've met is just like, oh, how's your wife doing? Just like I never told you I never told you anything. How are the kids? Who said I had kids? How did you know that?
Yeah, don't.
If that's what would happen on the online stalking thing, yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm getting to know you. We're good neighbors. Like Jesus, there's lots of stories where Jesus talks about what it means to be a good neighbor. Lots of stories. And we focus on one that we call the Good Samaritan story. Because the idea is that a good neighbor is somebody who's caring and compassionate to strangers. But part of that is getting to know them too, right? I mean, if somebody's a stranger, you should introduce yourself, right? And find out who they are, because then you'll know them.
What if they look scary and they're holding like?
What if they're
stuff?
scary?
What if they have a knife and they're just walking around with it? They're not gonna hurt you, but you don't know that, so you're just like.
Okay, too much
"Ee."
imagination.
Oh, my bad.
I have learned that Wesley is very imaginative. A good neighbor, but a very imaginative one. That actually is a really good point, though, that when we're getting to know strangers, like, we often just make assumptions right away, but we need information, right? Like, if somebody's coming at you with a knife in the dark, obviously, right? Because you have information. But if they were just walking down the street, why would you assume there's something wrong?
Maybe they're wearing a mask that looks terrifying as an intimidation.
You have information, right? You have things that tell you, right? So,
Skull tattoo over their face that's like.
what's wrong with tattoos?
No, I know like a skull tattoo where the skull matches up with your.
Just because somebody has tattoos doesn't mean that they're scary.
No, and your tattoos are nice, but like, what if you have like a skull and it's like matching?
I think you're making assumptions based on the fact that I have tattoos.
No, I like your tattoos. I've complimented your tattoos. They're nice tattoos.
You're not a good neighbor. The important thing is that we need information in order to discern, right? To find out, to learn. We need information. And the first step to information is introducing yourself, right? Take the pie next door. That was a great idea. Anybody ever done that? Take a pie next door to your neighbor? Or a food item of some type? Yeah?
My neighbor brings cookies to us every Christmas.
Excellent. Awesome.
To your neighbor.
No.
Wait,
I don't know that. But this year we did.
do you sell them Girl Guide cookies?
Yes.
There we go.
I
Okay.
kinda forced them to, though.
We'll leave that part off. That's the thing, though, is that being a good neighbor isn't just about what you think someone else should be, it's what you think you should be too. Which is why it's so important to understand that when Jesus says things like, the most important thing to remember is to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. You have to get to know your neighbor, and to get to know your neighbor, you need to know yourself too. It's all about relationships.
To get to know yourself, you need to give yourself a pie.
That is an excellent note to end on.
I want a pie.
That's an excellent note to end on. Thank you, sir. Everyone give yourself a pie. We're going to sing a song about being a good neighbor. Thanks, guys.